Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another speed build. I decided to build in Windenburg, and this is a 64 by 64 lot. It's super huge. As always, I didn't use any CC, so you can just grab this from the gallery. But let's have a look first how I built this. So I wanted to have another over-the-top luxurious mansion, and I wanted to go all out. I wanted to have a beautiful garden. I put a heavy focus on the pool area, as you will see. And at first, I just raised the terrain. And then I built some stairs, and then I was struggling a bit with these stairs because I had no idea where to build them at first, and I used some different foundation pieces, different heights, and then I connected them using some stairs. Later on I'm going to rebuild this because I eventually decided to simply raise the terrain, and I then connected the different levels again using stairs, but this way I was able to use a fence. And the beautiful thing is when you raise the terrain and you use some stairs, you can simply utilize a regular fence as a railing, basically, as you will see. And this is not working when you are using foundation pieces, because then it's telling you there are conflicting block clusters and all that. So I eventually decided to change the whole stair situation, but you will see this later. And now I'm working on the pool area, and for this I used my good old trick of building a room. Then I built a floor piece on top. I got rid of the room at the bottom, and all that I'm left with in this case is a floating floor piece that I can just bring down by clicking on the arrow. And then I removed a part in the center, so the pool was built on the ground. This is just a regular pool built on the ground on the lawn. And then I have my floating floor piece, and this is it just looks fancy. And I was also able to create a round shape this way. It creates the illusion of a round shaped pool, but in reality this is just a round deck, a floating floor piece. And as I always say, if you want to recreate this, if you want to have a completely circular deck, you have to use the foundation piece with a fence attached to it, and then you make it smaller on both sides. And then when you combine them, you can create a perfect circle, which is just beautiful. You could also create a perfect half circle, so the shape isn't wonky or weird, but it's really a proper circle, which is so beautiful in my opinion. And I have to say, there is one thing that you have to keep in mind in this case, and in case you want to rebuild this or anything. When you attach a fence to this round deck, then you won't be able to attach any stairs because the fence is going to go all around your round deck, so there's no gap where you could attach some stairs, for example. So what I did was I used this get together object. It's just a fence. It looks like a fence, but it's not really a fence. It's just a decorative object, and I placed it all around my round deck, and this way I was able to attach stairs, but I also have a decorative fence, which is really beautiful. I said this before, I wish we had a more modern, simple version of this, because we only have this one object. I mean, there are some debug objects, but these are mostly much bigger. But here we have this teeny tiny fence piece, and it's really easy to create some round shapes with it. I just love this object so much, and just for builds like this, it's perfect. For a more modern alternative, you could use the Get Famous Pristine Pedestal, which I love, as you guys know, but this is what I would recommend if you want to do the same thing but more modern. Then just use the Get Famous Pristine Pedestal, a beautiful white cube, and it's just perfect for stuff like this. I then added another round piece, but this is just a half circle, and I just wanted to have some type of flower bed. There's a fountain. At first I used the super tall Get Famous fence, which I'm going to use all over the build eventually, but for this flower bed I then used this Jungle Adventure fence because it's just, I don't know, I felt like the fountain wasn't really that visible because the fence was so tall. And this here is a debug object. I really like to use it. It's a base game debug object, and I just used it to create a path. And at this point I already really enjoyed how the build was coming along, even though there isn't even a house yet. This is just a fancy garden, and then I placed a hedge all around my flower bed. And for the fence and this hedge and just all these things, I rotate them by activating the Sims 3 camera. Then I hold down Alt on my keyboard and my left mouse button, and then when I move my mouse, I can rotate objects freely, and so can you. So this is how I rotate all these objects in this case, and this is just a really simple way to create some really unique builds in my opinion. And I used a get-together rug, the stone rug, to have a beautiful path. And what I did was I placed a lot of them. I edited a part of this out because it took so long, and I just placed lots of these rugs right next to each other to create some type of pattern. It looks like a tile and it's really beautiful. And I just placed a lot of these rugs. It just took me a while. I held down Alt on my keyboard, just Alt, and then when I move an object, it doesn't snap to the grid. Always make sure to activate the move objects cheat, bb.moveObjects, and this way I just created this beautiful pattern that you just saw. And then I finally started to work on the build. So this here is just a pool house, and funnily enough, there is an actual pool on the inside, like later on, not yet, but I decided to add a pool to this because I don't know, I just had no idea what to add to this house really. Like, I wanted to have this really fancy build. It just kind of goes around the corners. You will see I connected it with a foundation, just some type of patio. So this part of the build is separate from the rest of the build, and then eventually at the top floor I built a sauna, a bathroom, and just a whole house basically. I added a bed, a kitchen, all that, so you could use this for a butler. Recently I've created a couple of builds which would be perfect if you want to let a butler move in. And here you can see how I'm struggling with these stairs. So I just raised the terrain, and I have created all these different levels. So instead of using foundation pieces, I now just have these different levels made out of terrain basically. And this way I was just able to use my fence, and I placed the fence right next to the stairs, and as you can see, it looks like a railing. And for this particular fence, for example, we don't have a matching railing, which is annoying, so this is kind of a little workaround that I like to use. And then I wanted to have some type of fancy patio right in front of my pool house. I wanted to have another round shape. I was just adding more and more to this build. Sometimes you guys ask me how I'm working on a build, how I'm coming up with ideas, and here for this build, for example, you can really see how the build is kind of coming along. I'm just adding more and more section by section. So I finished the pool, then I built the house or part of the house, and then I figured, okay, this area is a bit empty and a round shape would make sense because I already have this beautiful round shape right next to the pool, so why not? And then I raised the terrain so I have this slope, and your Sims are able to walk up there. As I always say, apply terrain paint, and when the terrain paint is visible, your Sims should be able to walk up there, because when the slope is too steep, you are not able to change the color, and your Sims won't be able to walk up there. So this is just perfect if you want to check this. Even if you don't want to apply any terrain paint eventually, you can just apply them to check, and then you could just erase the terrain paint technically. And here you can also see how I'm placing some of these rugs. Here I created a different pattern, but this is like the same method essentially. And rugs are like super glitchy and weird in this game. As soon as you erase them, or when you place them slightly below a foundation, this is like, I don't know, it's like a really weird glitch. It looks super trippy. And the fence is just, the rug, is just moving around when you pan the camera, and it's super weird. So I really had to make sure that this is not happening here. And I used a super high foundation, as you just saw, and eventually I just raised the terrain in different areas. So I don't know, it doesn't look really good if you have a super high foundation, in my opinion. And then I wanted to add some vines, and what I did was I used these base game plants, and I simply placed them all around this column. I raised them, I placed them on top of the trellis. I created the trellis using a base game fence, the super small one, and I just built the trellis, and then I applied my trim, my exterior trim, and that's it. The easiest way to do it is to simply drag your rectangle or your square, depending on what you're building, or your triangle, I don't know, maybe you're building a really fancy trellis. So you just lay out the main shape, then use the sledgehammer tool. You could also just press K on your keyboard, and then when you just click on the floor inside your trellis, inside your fence, you can delete the floor, and then you can just add all the different fence pieces on the inside, because I mean you want to have some type of pattern, just like I did. You have all these fences in between. So this is how I do it. You could also just build every single fence and piece it together, but then you would have to delete each individual floor piece in between your rectangles or squares. This is confusing, but I guess you know what I mean. You just have to just use the sledgehammer tool for this. This is just the easiest way. I built a similar trellis in the front, as you will see, and I wanted to have a round trellis, so I used a round foundation piece, and I used the same method that I've used for the other round, for the round deck. I just created this half circle, and then I wanted to delete the floor using the sledgehammer tool, and for some reason there is a weird glitch, and when you just use the sledgehammer tool like this on a round foundation piece, sometimes it gets rid of the whole thing, including your fence. Sometimes it works. It's super weird, I don't know, and then eventually it worked. I was also running into a couple of problems with my roofs. So sometimes when you build a roof in this game, apparently it just glitches through the wall even though the room is fully closed. And this is what happened to me. I used a octagonal roof and it was just, I don't know, I just couldn't fix it. I rebuilt the room off camera. I tried to build another room at the very bottom, and then the glitch wasn't happening. I don't know, super confusing. So I eventually gave up and changed the layout a bit, and I just added just a fence, just some type of balcony, I don't know. And then I started to expand the whole garden area in front of the house. I used a debug object, as you just saw. It's from Strangerville, and it looks like lawn, like freshly mown lawn, and it's really beautiful. It's just perfect for this look, in my opinion. And this here is a greenhouse, and I'm just going to place lots of planting pots on the inside so you can just grow some veggies, I don't know. And I just wanted to have this really luxurious looking greenhouse. The windows are from the Romantic Garden stuff pack. Such a great pack, actually, especially for builds like this. I don't think that I've used any other stuff from this pack for this build, but essentially if you're into this kind of style, it kind of, I don't know, it just reminds me of a castle a little bit. It's really over the top, like some type of Beverly Hills mansion, a bit tacky. I don't know, if you're into this kind of style, then the Romantic Garden stuff pack is awesome. And Get Famous, of course. Also, speaking of packs, soon the new pack is going to drop, and I'm so excited, especially because of the platforms, to be honest. I think the platforms are going to be added to the game in a base game update, if I'm not wrong. So technically the update just has to drop before the pack. I'm a bit out of the loop, I have to admit, but I'm pretty sure that it has to drop a couple of days before the pack release probably, and I'm just so excited. I'm going to make just a tutorial or something. I'm just going to show you the new functions, and I'm going to try to come up with a couple of fun ideas, and I would just see what I can come up with for you guys. And I'm just really excited to get my hands on the update and the pack, of course. And I've created a couple of Asian inspired builds in the past. Sometimes I labeled them something like Japanese, for example, and then I received some really friendly comments that it's not really Japanese. For example, this is why I'm just saying Asian. I don't want to like stereotype this and just squeeze it into one category, but I also don't want to claim that it's Japanese anymore, because frankly I have no idea what I've built. Like, I just built something and I felt inspired, but then I received these comments letting me know that it's not really Japanese and all that. So I don't know what it is, but I was inspired by Japanese architecture and stuff, and I think I've created 2 of these builds in the past, and I'm just really excited for the new pack. And I'm going to do my research. I want to build a proper Japanese house this time around. I think the problem is, as soon as you are building or trying to build something that's really traditional or something that really looks like the real deal, and then when you are like me and you like to go really overboard and you add more and more just for the visuals, just for the aesthetic, then sometimes you just enter a territory where stuff just doesn't look legit anymore. So, but I will do my best. Like, I want to build something that's really over the top, but I'm pretty sure that I won't be able to go for 100% realism because I just want to have some fun. I want to just go a bit over the top as always. I want to create something spectacular, so it probably won't be super 100% authentic again, and I hope that's alright, but I just want to create a magnificent build with the new pack, and I'm just really excited. I don't know. And I know that a lot of you are just as excited as I am. I'm also looking forward to building a lot more. I think I've definitely built a little less recently than usual, but I don't know, if I'm like honest to myself and honest to you, I felt burnt out. I had no ideas. I wasn't really feeling like building anything. I don't know. I just hit a point after building mansion after mansion after mansion for over 2 years that I just needed a bit of a break. Not really a proper break, like it's not that I just said okay, I'm gone for a month or something. There were still some builds, but I just took it slower, and I think that's not really a bad thing, to be honest. I'm also just hoping to get my hands on the new pack soon, kind of, so I'm just really ready to feel inspired again. And I had a lot of fun building this year, so I feel inspired, but I don't know, there was just a time where I felt so burned out, and also I don't know, it felt like it was like a switch in my head. It was so weird. Like I've told you about the whole situation surrounding my mom because of her surgery and all that. The day that I heard from her that she had this aneurysm and that she has to have surgery and all that, that day I started to worry so much, and I started to feel bad, like I was just in a really bad headspace. And then she had the surgery and everything was perfectly fine, like it went perfectly fine, and she's doing so well now. But I don't know, it's so weird, but I still couldn't shake off the feeling. Like I still wasn't feeling good. It's like so weird, I can't explain it, but I was still in such a bad headspace. Maybe, I don't know, I felt like the whole situation in 2020 was just kind of catching up. I don't know, but suddenly I was in a really bad headspace, and I felt also burned out, uninspired, and I'm just hoping that things are looking better soon. And as I said, I'm excited for the pack. I don't know, I just wanted to be honest with you guys because I don't know, some of you might have noticed that I haven't build as much and all that, and I don't know, I always like to give you guys a life update and what has been going on. And I don't know, I'm just hoping that I'm ready to shake it off and to just move on and to build a lot of stuff. I don't know, a break is good. I always say this, taking a break is always a good thing, and it definitely still feels like a break because usually like I'm done with a build and I instantly start to work on the next one. I develop ideas and all that, especially with these huge mansions. It just takes time. You just have to have an idea, and then it just, I don't know, you're just furnishing a whole day alone most of the time. So you just have to keep going and keep going, especially if you want to have a video out every 3 or 4 days. When you're already building 2 to 3 days, then you have to edit. I don't know, it's just like one build is done and then you move on to the next one, I guess. And I guess this is the case for most builders, and I enjoy this, but as soon as I wasn't really in a good headspace, I just couldn't do that. I don't know, there was like no creativity and motivation left in me, and I don't know. But now I'm looking into the future. I'm just hoping for having some fun with the new pack, and I don't know, I just want to build more and create more tutorials again. And I feel like the new platform feature will be perfect for me to create some tutorials or guides. I don't know, maybe not really a tutorial. I don't know, maybe I can come up with something super fun. I don't know, I will see, but I'm just so excited, and I don't know, this will be great. Also the platforms, we will be able to have some split level homes. We can even create some type of table. I've seen someone do this. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Deli. She created some of the builds for the new pack, and I don't know, but I saw someone do it. Like some game changer did this. Like, it almost looked like a table. Like, in the entrance area there was like a platform raised really high, and there was some stuff placed on top, so you can do so many things. Technically you could raise a part of the platform right next to a kitchen counter on the same level. I don't know, you could do some crazy stuff with this, and I'm just really excited for this. And I don't know, for stuff like this, no matter how many videos I watch from game changers and stuff, when I look at the build buy overview and all the new stuff, it's always a completely different feeling for me when I get my hands on a pack myself and when I just start to build. And I don't know, I guess you guys know what I mean. It's just so different. And then you kind of figure out what you can combine. Also, in this video, for this build, I used some no CC gallery art again, and let me tell you, I've talked about this in my last video, the video before, but I feel so inspired to work on the interior, and I feel like the platform feature is also going to be super inspiring for the interior, because right now we can do lots of stuff using the foundations. I mean, as I did, we can connect foundations using some stairs. You can have some fun with this feature already on the exterior, but it isn't as easy on the interior. And I remember before these stairs came out, like the configurable stairs or whatever they are called, I made these tutorials for stairs after the foundation update dropped, and this was like super complicated. So all of this is not necessary anymore. We can have some proper split levels, and this just inspires me. This just makes me want to work on the interior and furnish and all that stuff. I always have this huge focus on the exterior, as you guys know, but this could be fun. I don't know, I'm ready for this. I once again used no CC gallery paintings by SimSationalToo. I'm going to add their gallery ID to the description box so you can find them in the gallery. I can totally recommend their gallery art. Your build won't be flagged as CC. And I wanted to have a bit more color, so the dining room, as you saw, is a bit more blue, a bit more colorful, while the living room is more yellow. And eventually I ended up adding 2 dining rooms to this mansion, but I figured it would be okay because, I mean, it's a super over the top mansion, so why not? I mean, people have like 2 different living rooms, a TV room and a formal living room for guests and stuff, so why not having 2 separate dining rooms? One is located right next to the living room and the other one is right next to the kitchen, so one could be a super fancy breakfast area, I guess, and the other one is for guests. I have no idea. And I also added an office area, as you saw, and I wanted to have a bit more color here and there. And then I moved on to the kitchen. I wanted the kitchen to be really rustic and beautiful. And I ended up using these counters, which are part of the Vampires pack. They have a black countertop. They're white. They are super simple and beautiful, but I wanted to have a bit of color here and there. So I also used a no CC gallery painting by SimSationalToo, and this looks like tiles, as you can see. So I placed the same painting all over again, like again and again, a lot of them, to create this backsplash, which is just beautiful. They have a couple of these in their gallery, and I decided to go for blue because I had already created this beautiful blue dining room, and I just wanted to have a bit of color, and I think it looks super beautiful. And again, you have to hold Alt on your keyboard, and this way you can freely place them, and again, make sure to activate move objects, and this way you can just align them properly. You have to make sure that you really find the correct position, because when they overlap, not only does the pattern look off, but you also have some flickering. I mean, for my builds, there will always be a bit of flickering here and there in some areas, because I always use this cheat. I always overlap something, but I try to avoid it. And just in case you are very sensitive when it comes to this, make sure to really find the correct position in case you're using these tiles. The same goes for the painting that I used in the dining room. These are like 2 paintings, and you place them right next to each other to create one huge painting, which is also a super creative idea by them. I'm just a big fan. I followed them in the gallery right away, and I'm just obsessed. I feel like furnishing is so much fun again. So this here is the other dining room. So this is like the breakfast area. I don't know, like you've seen mansions, but this is like actually a proper dining room. Technically you could change this room if you want to just have more space for other stuff. But I guess that's always the case in these mansions, always a lot of stuff going on. And this year, I'm proud of this because I finally included something like this. So this year, this whole area is one big master bedroom. On the right side, where you can see the fireplace in the background, this is going to be the bedroom. And then this here is a walk-in closet. And then we have a bathroom right next to this room. So there's just only one door leading into this area. So this is a really over-the-top master bedroom. I wanted to include this finally, or maybe I've done it before, but if I've done this, it has been ages. I just wanted to have a really proper, beautiful master bedroom. I wanted this to be a proper luxurious mansion, so I just had to include a really over-the-top master bedroom, I guess. And it was a lot of fun to build this because it's so different for once. Also in the background, you see this round arch and all that. I used a base scheme doorway and I placed it right in front of a window. I used some Moschino stuff-pack windows which have a round shape, and I just wanted to have some type of frame or board around them, and this is why I placed this huge doorway right in front of the exterior. You could get rid of this if you want to. I don't think it's really annoying, but I just wanted to explain this because it was like super visible in the background, I guess. And I then just furnished the bedroom, and then I moved on to furnish some of the other bedrooms. I didn't include all bedrooms in this video because it's already super long and there are lots of bedrooms. And here for this bedroom, I wanted to have some type of custom headboard. I used a dine out wall decoration for this. You just have to filter by pack, just click on dine out and then go to wall decorations. It comes in different swatches. You could also use this object to create a backsplash. If you're not into no-CC gallery art, this is just a perfect alternative. I mean, it doesn't look like tiles or anything, but it's a really versatile object in my opinion, much like the pristine Get Famous Pristine pedestal. It's really simple, just plain and simple, and you could use it for all kinds of different things. This here is one of the kids' rooms, really spacious. I really wanted to have bedrooms for this mansion, which are really spacious. So there's just, I don't know, I just wanted this to be a proper mansion, as I said. And for some mansions in the past, I've just squeezed in as many bedrooms as possible, and this just comes at the cost of room size. Simple as that. If you just want to have as many bedrooms as possible, we only have 64 by 64 lots, and yeah, I used a good amount of the space for landscaping as well, but I really wanted to have some huge proper rooms, and the master bedroom that you just saw is of course the biggest one of them all. But here I think it's great. I used this bookshelf as a room divider, and then I moved on to work on the indoor pool. So this is like a beautiful indoor pool. I used these tiles. I don't even know to which pack they belong. I think Get Together maybe, but I could be completely wrong here. And I just wanted to have a beautiful pool oasis basically. I placed a fountain over there and just different things, a bar, just so your Sims could hang out and have a great time at the pool. And I just figured it would be fun. And above this pool, above this room, there is a home for a butler, and you will see all of that in the screenshots here that I included for you. And as always, you can find this build in the gallery, fully furnished, CC free and unmodded, so you can just grab it and let your Sims move in. I would like to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a perfect day, a perfect week and all that. And also make sure to check out the community Discord if you want to. You can find the link in the description box for the KateEmerald community Discord. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye!